And we're live. And welcome to another edition of Life is People. Well, before we go any further, how are we doing tonight, Will?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain.
Saying just before we went live, since we last had a conversation in public, a lot has gone on. I mean, both personally and in the world generally. So let's just start from a good place, positive place first. I mean, give us a sort of brief overview of what's sort of gone on since we last had a public conversation with you and your music.
I've been really busy, man. Currently, last year, I did a lot of traveling. Um, Traveled the whole United States, all 48 states except for Hawaii and Alaska. Uh, Been really busy, man. Staying productive with the music. New things to come. Uh, just really did a lot of growing since we talked. A lot of growing. Seeing new things, learning new things. Just enhancing my skills at the same time, just growing as a human. So yeah, I've been really productive, man. Staying busy, just trying to grow as an artist.
Well, it's fascinating you speak upon this, Will, because I think this relates to sort of like the two pronged approach that we were sort of speaking about. Because I think one of the things that you've seen in the last election was you sort of saw how America was this kind of divided place between California and New York and everyone in the middle, and it was kind of like they didn't understand what was going on in the middle. So my direct question to you is, from your experience for someone, as you said, you traveled 48 states, you said you learned a lot. What do you think was the greatest lesson you learned? And did you sort of, after that experience of traveling those 48 states, did you sort of have an inkling before the Trump thing that was going to happen because of how much they were marginalized and not these people were kind of not listened to?
Uh, I'm really not sure. Every area of the United States is different. So um, as far as the campaign, I mean, each state has their different beliefs, and Trump has his supporters, and Hillary had her supporters. So I mean, I didn't really get too deep into the campaign. I wasn't a huge supporter of it.
No,
Um,
but I mean the general point was, did you sort of, I'm saying from your experience, because I talk to many Americans who never leave their state, so it's interesting to talk to someone who's actually left their state and actually expanded their. Did you sort of, I mean, maybe the real root of the question was, what do you think was the greatest thing you learned about America as a place from traveling around?
America is a very beautiful place. Different cities, just it's amazing to see how different cities how they orchestrate, how they were built. Um, the West Coast and the East Coast are two different environments. West Coast is it's like its own country. So like it was a great experience, especially meeting new people on the road, and because I'm from Ohio. Ohio is a really laid back, calm, quiet place. Being in big cities like New York City and LA is a big difference. So America is a beautiful place. It has its downfalls and it has its ups. So uh just seeing life outside of Ohio was a very great experience, especially like being down south. Also, getting used to the weather, because in Ohio, you can get all four seasons in one day. So being down south, man, it's hot every day. Especially being out west, it's hot every day. So it was a great experience. New York City was a really very different experience for me. Also, it's a very overly populated city, lots of people, very busy. So yeah, it was a great experience. I got to see new things. I got to meet new people. It definitely impacted me as an artist. It lets me know that the world is small but it's big at the same time. So great experience for me too.
No, man, that's very profound, and I think what's fascinating upon you just spoken upon, and is that, like you said, you got America spans this great place and of just weather-wise. And I think one of the things I've learned from when I lived down in South America was that the hotter it got, it definitely changed people's general personality. They had less, I would say, entrepreneurship. They had very much that kind of laid back manana attitude. Whereas people, when it's cold and it's long winters, people tend to get their heads down and be kind of industrious. So I mean, after your travels, is there anywhere that if you know you give you X amount of money and take all your problems away? Is there any part of America that you think, if I had the money and the time, I would like to go and settle down there?
Um, yeah, places like, especially I try to think as far as expanding with my music. New York City was definitely a place that settle settle in just to expand with my music. It's different moves and different things I believe that can enhance my skills, especially as an artist, with different for different a lot of those people beside me, especially with my sound. So uh, New York City would love to move. I've always been that way since I always wanted to move to New York City. Just love the big city. I love people. So definitely move.
See, one of the fascinating things about New York, well, again, this is someone. I mean, I went there as I was fortunate to go there when I was a teenager, so it's a while back. But I think the overall impression, particularly over this side, we get about New York. And you see enough of this on, Instagram, Facebook, and stuff. You see loads of these little shots and gifs of people, just walking over people and not having. It seems like complete lack of humanity in New York. That the more you get into the centre of it, it's like the humanity goes completely. So, but I'm fascinated with this. With the lack of humanity and all the gentrification in New York, there's still that creative. That creative vibe there. And I'm is it something, do you think, it's intrinsic about the place itself? I mean, or do you think it will ever get to the point where it will literally be so gentrified and so yuppified, for want of a better word, that will disappear and it'll start to push out into the suburbs and eventually just end, New York will just be some quiet corporate place? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. New York is growing so fast. It's just if you have you ever even been to New York City?
Dude, like I said, I went there once when I was 12, so it was in the 80s, and it was a very, man, dude, my references of New York are proper, what you would see in some sort of like 80s film in New York. It was like gang banging everywhere, drugs selling on the street, prostitution. It was like, whoa, you know what I mean? I was just a 12-year-old kid coming up the suburbs of England. Like, this was all a shock to me, but so that's my experience. So, I mean, like I said, I have a very experience from a while ago, but I'm more talking about the reflection that's given across in the media. That I don't know how true that is, because we live in a world, like we do, for want of a better word, we live in a lot of fake news. So you're someone who's been there and experienced. So I'm wondering really if that's just a true reflection.
I mean, well, I didn't spend too much time in New York. I was really on the go. But uh, I mean, depending on, I mean, from my experience, I'm not sure about how the inner city neighborhoods are, but yeah, I wouldn't have an answer to that question. I just kind of like rode through New York. I rode through Brooklyn, I rode through Queens. I was kind of really on the go, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really too sure, but I will say New York definitely looks like New York from the movie. So like how the pace is there, it's really fast paced. Everybody's trying to sell something in New York. Everybody's trying to put out something. So New York is very fast paced as far as crime rate or stuff like that. I'm not the guy to explain it. I'm just a visitor, so I'm just a man in a foreign land when I go there. So I only been in New York twice. So next time that I do go, I hope to literally spend some good time there, so I can actually see how that the city actually works. So
Well, just generally, and like I say, I don't really want to talk about the general, politics and stuff like that. But you know, I'm fascinated by this. You're there. You are. You're in America right now, and again, the reflection we get over here. It's just one. America. We're told all the time it's this huge divided nation where everyone's just literally in each other's throats, and everyone's just looking for the moment just to literally punch someone or all this sort of stuff. So, my point to you being, do you feel that this has any how can I say this for want of a better word? If it has any forming of you and your music and where you feel you have to do. Do you feel you have any responsibility as an artist right now to sort of think, well, I've got to bridge people together, or I've got to find them the truth? Because I know, and that's something that we were speaking briefly before about. And I know that, your relationship with God is quite a deep thing to you. But do you think that has a responsibility to you as an artist and what you put out?
Most definitely. I believe, as me as an artist, I hold a responsibility to give my listeners some type of truth, especially with the day and age that we're living in. As my, I feel as it's my job to minister through music. So with the music that I'm putting out, it's literally, if you ever get into the Word, you read the Bible. David used to play his harp for Saul, who had a spirit. The spirit that he was dealing with, he was down. Every time the spirit would come overtake him, he was down. So with the music that I'm putting out, I want my music, I want the spirit that's behind my music to give you peace, to give you liberty, to give you freedom, to give you some type of truth. So, yes, most definitely, I feel like it's my job to at least encourage, inspire, liberate in the music that I'm putting out. Um, it's important because music is a very, very popular thing. Everybody listens to music. Everybody's searching for something. So as an artist, I have to make it my responsibility to give you truth, to give you integrity, integrity as in my character and in my music. I can't just be an artist and just put out music, but I actually show it in my life. So um, yeah, it's important. It's important that I give you honesty and truth, and that's the music that I put out. So uh, people that promote like violence, people that promote lies, people that promoting something that they're not living, they're only making it worse. They just adding fuel to the flame. So um, it's important. It's important that I live up to that responsibility as an artist to give you the reality and give you the spirituality because you need both. You need God, and this God God has been working in my music, and God has been breaking chains. That's what I want to do with my music is break the chains, liberate, get people out of bondage and captivity.
Well, yeah, let's speak upon this because as I said to you before we went live, it's not an area that's well spoken about. I mean, it's quite well documented, and you go to your, willpipkins.com, you can read your bio, and it gives you a nice little breakdown for people to read out in the public about how where you've got to and stuff. But again, it's a very personal and quite a deep question. But what can you remember, for want of a better word, your conversion moment? Can you remember what that was and why? That it shifted your life so much that you went from one path to another path. I mean, what is so powerful about that moment that for people who have never experienced that or understand that, maybe give some sort of insights what that actually means.
Um, I would say God moved real fast in my life. In 2014, God really touched. He really started to move in my life. You know, as a kid, I always held on to a lot. 2014, I believe that I reached my breaking point. So at that breaking point, having a lot with family, financial stuff that was going on, family issues, friends issues, people were going to jail, all this stuff that was going on in 2014, and it got to a point where you know I needed something. I needed something, and I believe in that point, I just started to cry out, and that was the first time I heard God's voice. God gave me a vision. He came, he spoke to me in my dream, because I always believed like God was just something that somebody had just made up. But I believe that God has to come show you who He is for yourself. Like you have to know God for yourself. So at that point, I went through a lot of anxiety issues. I ended up being in the hospital, all this stuff that was going on, and uh, I needed something. And God showed up in my life so mightily. He gave me peace. He gave me understanding. He gave me revelation. And at that point, I said, "Okay, God, I'm gonna start reading Your Word." I started reading His Word. He started speaking to me. I start going to church, and God just started moving in my life. God started showing me who He was, and God started showing me who I was. And the thing about it, my whole life, I always had a gift, but God started to touch my gift. God started to make me smarter. God started to make me realize different things. He started to take the scales off my eyes and show me who I was and who I could be. So God started to move in my life. It took for God to knock me down to pick me back up. So that's how God really started to move on my behalf. And as I started to walk with Him, He started to give me understanding. He started to give me revelation. And along the way, He started to allow me to produce fruit and start to help other people out. So I say God started to show me my potential and who I could be. So that's how God started to move. That's how my conversion started to work. I started to get into youth Bible studies. I started to just to be more active in ministry. I put ministry first, and that's just putting God first. I put ministry first, and I put my music second. And through my ministry, God was teaching me. He was connecting me with different people, connecting me with different artists, poets, all different types of people. He was putting in my life. He just started to remove the old and started to put in something new. And God was showing me revelations with music, and He was just showing me who I could be. So ever since then, I never looked back. I just kept going forward with it. God's been moving ever since then, uh, and that's how it happened. That's how God started moving my life.
Well, okay, I mean, this maybe enters a kind of a secondary question I really wanted to ask you, because you mentioned about you started to read, the Bible and stuff like this. So my first question is, I mean, was there any particular books? Because I mentioned this, I've always had a lifelong fascination with, well, Job, Ecclesiastes. Some of these, these books have been, I could almost name word for word. You know what I mean? I mean, I think they're very deep and powerful kind of insights into human knowledge. So, were they the first sort of books you kind of got into, or were you? And again, and you said you're guided by this. I mean, are there certain books of the Bible you particularly are fond of, and have you thought about exploring ones that are, I mention this because there's not many people I know, and like I said, I've had a lifetime, didn't I? Know many people that have never read Amos, or they've never read Deuteronomy, or they've never gone through Exodus or Judges, or they love to pick on the ones that everyone knows, the Johns and the Matthews. So have you ever thought of exploring? Is that something, or are you just guided and you just literally open your mind to God, and let whatever He guides you to read? Or
Uh, well, first starting off, like when I first started reading the Bible, um, I really didn't understand what I was reading, but it had took for me to ask God to give me revelation on what I was actually reading. But starting off, I actually started off with the Gospels. I just started reading about Jesus. I started off with the Gospels of like Matthew, Luke, John, and Mark. I started off there, but as I grew as a Christian, as I grew, I started to allow God to guide me on what to read. So, like I touch bases in every book. I try to learn about every person because it's somebody in the Bible that you can relate to. Especially like I started to read deeply about Paul, and I just realized how much me and Paul relates because Paul has been through so many tribulations and storms and adversities, and um, as I start to read about Paul, me and Paul just relate in so many areas. So it's just like God, God, he always knows what book to put you in, what scripture to uh to relate to that relates to you at that point in time. So um I'm always guided by the Spirit when I read now. But I didn't used to be like that. I just used to just hop in and just try to read. I remember I tried to start from Genesis. I didn't really understand too much uh, about who begot who, and God was just trying to teach us about generations. Such and such begot such and such begot such and such. And like I said, as I grew, God just started showing me different areas to read. So,
well, I think this is one of the second part of the sort of the question I was sort of opening up to, because I mean, you were just relating there. You said to Paul. I mean, as I said before. I mean, I remember reading as a child Job, and I'm thinking, well, wait, I get this completely. This story I get completely, and like Daniel and stuff like this. But the secondary parts of my thought process of the question I really want to relate to you is, to me, these are a deep, insightful, you know, knowledge. You know, I'm trying to be as open as possible to understand the people I might be listening to, so I haven't got a faith in this, but they can see that they're insightful pieces of knowledge.
Mm.
And I've always thought, why doesn't people tap into that? I mean, this is what I'm going to throw over to you. There you are. You're a musician, you're a rapper and stuff like this. Have you ever thought about like going, okay, I'm going to try to literally just take some of the insights of maybe Paul or Job and try to push them through into a language that people can understand, and try to take the kernel of the knowledge rather than just the words, because dude, I've seen some really bad Christian acts, and they just literally just quote, and it's like there's nothing worse than a Christian band up there just bashing out some, holier than thou rubbish. But trying to be a bit more intelligent and insightful. I mean, is that something you even contemplate, or do you think, hey, I can't go anywhere near that, and that's just something I can't even explore?
I'm trying to grasp. Your question.
My
So
question directly is sort of saying, so when you've read something like Ephesians, I mean, or like you say, Ecclesiastes or Job, do you ever sort of think, okay, there's some really insightful truth there that I can literally pull up and use in my lyrics and give that out as an insight to the world? Or do you think, no, I'm going to try to just take the knowledge of myself and filter it through my own words and put that knowledge out in my own words? That's what I'm trying to say. Or do you do more direct?
um, as I read, God gives me inspiration. Like my songs are inspired from a certain scripture or something God has been showing me. Uh, I definitely try to move. I definitely try to move by the Spirit, especially when I'm writing. I would try to ask God, what do you want to say? So when I'm writing, I pray on my raps that they touch, inspire, deliver, heal, set free somebody who's listening. So as me, I used to write like that. I would call that being selfish, because I'm just putting how I feel, my thoughts, my emotions on the track. But I want the Spirit to move, because where the Spirit is, there's liberty. So I want in my music there to be liberty as the listener listen. You know, when I read certain scriptures, God just give me insight on what to write about, and it just flows. It flows like water. So definitely when I read, that's where my songs get birth. That's where they come from. They get birth from the scripture.
No, the other thing that I wanted to talk about this, because I think it's was it's in your bio, and it seems it's a very common story. A lot of people here, which is very much your bio. You're saying your life was spinning. You mentioned earlier on your life was spinning out of control, and then you have this experience, and like you say, and now you're living it, and your life is completely. And I'm sure you could spend much more time than me telling me how much your life has changed and how much you're not down those paths and amongst those people. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what is it in? I speak upon this because from an outside reflection, people, it's the life that people live that change that affects people around them more than the words they say. I guarantee that people that you would have known as ex-friends, they'd be like, wow, he's really changed, because look, he's not going out, clubbing, he's not sitting there getting drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's doing those things, and it's your actions that I think speak a lot more. But so my question to you is, a lot of people see this, and it's a kind of an age-old story, and a lot of people know about it. But from someone who's experienced this and gone from a spiral that's downwards to now you're on a spiral upwards, what do you think is the greatest lesson? I mean, what are the insights? If you say to someone who's like in a really dark place, that's sitting there, and then they're just in a dark place themselves, what would be the if you could speak to them directly, what would be your wisdom to say to them, look, hey, there is a better place than this, and this is what you need to do, and this is what it can do to you, and this is why. I mean, from someone who's walked the path?
Well, it just depends on their situation. I come across people all the time that come from a dark place, but I believe as a minister of the gospel, that's our job, to go out to liberate. because there has to be some type of liberation, and I stand for liberation and breaking chains. People that came from a dark place, you can always relate to them. Well, I can. I've been in dark places, so most of the time I just I let them know who they are. A lot of people be in dark places because they don't know their potential nor purpose. So at the end of the day, you have to touch bases on which you have to look at the cup half full instead of half empty. And I come across people all the time, and I just try to encourage. Being a minister, it's our duty to encourage. So I let my light shine. I have to be a reflection of Christ. I have to put on my Christ face every day. So I have to be the light for their life. So that's just our duty to just encourage. Encouragement. That's what people need. They need encouragement. So, and it has to be true encouragement. You don't want to just tell anybody something to make them feel good. You want to actually plant a seed that's gonna grow. The Bible says one man plants, one man waters, but God gets the increase. So it's important for us to plant that seed of righteousness and people that come from dark places. Because at the end of the day, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So, we have to, as ministers, we have to put on our spiritual eye and be able to discern, what people are really dealing with. So, and another thing, as a minister, it's important for us to pray for people. And that's another way to lift them up. But that's just a part of, you being fruitful. A lot of my fruit comes from, being a liberator for those who are in dark places. And that's my job as an artist, to rap, to give you truth, to give people some type of truth, to get them from that dark place. That's where I make my music for people who are in bondage. So that plays a
Exactly.
big yeah.
Exactly, my friend. I think you're exactly. That's a perfect analogy. I mean, we're nothing but shining lights into not only the dark place, and this is be real about this. And this is one of the conversations that a lot of humanity doesn't want to speak about for whatever reasons. That's another question in itself. But those dark places, they're not only dark; they're evil, dude. This is the point. Some people want to walk around this planet and think that evil doesn't exist. And I've always said this, that it's the turning away from evil that makes evil happen more, and that's what leads to what happened in communism in the 80s. It's what led to 300 million Chinese people being slaughtered, through famine. It's that lack of not understanding that there's some true evil, and once you understand, it's always the people that that's what I'm saying. The people who are at the bottom and have suffered a lot and in the darkest place, they understand that true touch of evil, for want of a better word. And the job, like you say, is to illuminate not only through the words but through your actions. But it's I think half the battle is just making people understand there is evil, because as it's that old analogy, the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing anyone he was just some red guy with a big tail and horns, and that's the biggest trick he ever played, that he's some joke Halloween character, whereas like you said, he's amongst us. The snake slithers amongst us all the time, man. It's inside our own natures.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you have to understand where your source of downness comes from. God didn't put you on the earth for you to be down. God wants you to live a happy life. Jesus lived he lived a liberating life, but Jesus came to give us life and life to the full. So he didn't come to give us death. So you have to understand, what that evil reigns and evil is on the earth. So yeah, that just comes to it, just removing the scales for people, because people don't know. People don't really believe that evil exists. So
No, man, that's half the balance, isn't it? I mean, half the balance isn't, this sort of pulls this sort of full circle a bit in this conversation, but it's the role of any creative person, especially if they feel that they can speak upon the truth, is to basically just to do this, because we live in a world now. America's not that different from the UK in that sense, but we're surrounded by people, man. I mean, just look at the genre that you're in, dude. Look at the hip hop genre. I mean, how many artists out there are talking about guns and money and just all the things that aren't good for the human soul, and they're the ones with the greatest media coverage, and that's half the to me half the battle is just trying to balance the kind of scales of what people are hearing and trying to change their perception a bit and maybe the path they're on. I think that's half the battle. That's what you're doing, isn't it? You know what I mean? So then it's the next question is, how optimistic do you feel about where we are as where we are here in 2017? That do you feel that we're going to a with technology? Do you think we're going to get to a better place, and that it's going to give you opportunity, for instance, for your seeds, your ideas to spread out to a greater mass because you've got more technology coming? Or do you think this is part of the the darker side of the world? This is just there just to box us all up. And I've heard people talk about how all this technology stuff is just there just to put a little chip in our head, and exactly what it says in Revelations, man, about having the number of the beast. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that one, really.
Well, as a man of faith, you got to look at the seasons. You got to understand what the days and age that we are living in. I'm a true believer that these days are the last days. Things are going to get worse according to the word. War, famine is going to start rising up, disease, pestilence, murder, brothers against brothers, mothers against mothers, fathers against sons, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, as far as with technology, according to scripture, I guess they started certain chips in the arms. So it just things that's lining up with the word, how prophetic the book is, and like I said, it's definitely gonna get worse. But it's important for the faith believers to rise up and let them know this is the time to let them know who God is. So like whatever your gift may be, uh, your gift is to use. It should be used to minister. So right now is the time to be ministered more than ever. This is the time where God's going to start raising up more than ever, especially with the church. The world is so drunk on themselves. The world is going to keep continuing to what they're going to do is going to get worse. They're going to continue to walk in the contrary to the word of God. So I mean, it just everything is running its course. Uh, but it's important for us to keep going forward because the devil knows his time is short. So it's important for us to grab a hold of as many people as we can. So yeah,
Well,
it's Tim. It's most definitely gonna get worse. That's worldwide. So
Man, that's fascinating because something I would love to. I've contemplated this for a while, man, and you've just brought this up, so I'm gonna sort of share my thought process with you now. Hey, you're right, and so let's take the thought process like you just said. This is the end times, and that and you've got a set of people that feel like that. You've got the Christians, the Muslims feel like this. Now, my point to you, and again, this is quite a deep thought process, but again, in the Bible, it talks about at the end of the days, there'll be you'll know this, there'll be wars and rumors of wars, and there'll be pestilence and rumors of pestilence. Yeah. Now, I've often thought this, and I don't know if it's something you think about. If you think it's just completely out there, how you just tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But I've often thought that wouldn't it be a really good, hey, we're going to talk about evil. An evil trick to play would be technology comes along, we project
yeah,
some sort of second coming over the Golden Temple in Jerusalem. It's all manufactured through some hologram. Loads of people are killed. It all turns out to be fake. Everyone never has any religious belief again, and everyone just goes with the other side. Does that? I mean, I've often thought that's the most diabolical plan I could ever conceive of. If I was, you know what I mean? Thinking that's a really good way to trick the people who really, like I say, put some. How many people would you know if they actually saw, you know, some sort of angels coming, over the Golden Dome would actually fall to their knees and believe that stuff? And that's the hard thing for people who are believers to sort of think, oh, we could be tricked by the technology into something that's not real. So then you've got to judge how they know that those things inside them are real. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Whether you think it's just completely that's a wacky idea or a way out idea, or that's something you've thought about, or
so basically, you asking me, how do they know that God is alive? Or that God is actually exists?
No,
Uh,
my question to you is, do you fear that many people of faith will be tricked or could be tricked by an illusion put out by secular people who put out like a hologram in 10 years' time of the second coming, and it tricks other people? Do you think that's
oh,
something that people of faith could be tricked by, or are they too smart to know that this could be fooled by that?
uh, most definitely. According to the scripture, yeah, many will be deceived. You know,
Mm.
uh, the Antichrist, the Antichrist is going to be putting sickness on people and taking it off. So many believers, many people that's in the world will follow this entity. So it's that's definitely true. It's definitely possible. It's definitely true. So yeah, many faith believers will be deceived, especially not in your word. You're not feeding your spirit. Spirit man has to be fed. You're not feeding it. You definitely will fall into the traps of the enemy. So that's definitely true.
See, this is the other angle of it, Will, and I think this is it's one of the things. No, hey, I'm going to be real with you here, dude. I think it's only proper to have a real conversation. I get frustrated by a lot of people of, like I said, you know my background and stuff, and I get a lot of frustration. I get frustrated with people who are so-called call themselves Christians because I'm kind of like, hey, if you know this is true, then why aren't you doing more? Like you said, why aren't you standing up more? Why do you just basically just go around your lives? Go to church on a Sunday, or even I know people who just go to church once a year at Christmas, and then they think it's all good, and heaven's going to open up for them. I mean, to me, if you know the true reality of what you're speaking about, you would be everyone would be following your example and doing more what you do. Because so what I want to ask you to sort of, yeah, to Will, to maybe give people a reason, and it relates back to my last question. You know, the drive. I mean, you obviously know something about what a lot of people don't know, and so like you said, that's why you're trying to go out there and shine your light and try to convert people. So what is it? What is it that people don't know that they need to know that can sort of wake them up a bit?
Mm-hmm. What you need to know is that God is alive and that His word is moving and His word is true and everything in the word of God is prophetic and everything will come to pass and like you have to come out the carnal and just and move into the spiritual, but only God can show a person that thing. That's why it's important for the church. The church has to wake up and come out of being in sleep mode or being in
Mm-hmm.
so it's important for the Christ believers or the faith believers to rise up. It's our job. It's our duty to go out for the people who are in bondage. So um, right now, I would tell people to get in the Word, seek His face, knock, the door shall be open, pray, try to get understanding. A lot of people they don't know. They don't even know that God is real. You have to come into experience, encounter. But God changed the world with 12 disciples. So it's important for God's disciples to rise up, to wake up, to start moving, go forth in ministry. A lot of the times believers they get wrapped up in the world, you know what I'm saying? So it's important, like you said, you shouldn't just go to church on your Sunday or whatever. Christ should be your church every day. You should be in church every day, whether it's at your home, whether it's in your own ministry, whether it's in your business, your job, whatever. That should always be your first thing that you put first. So you have to do that every day, all day, every day. That should be your ministry. And with that being your ministry, God will start to move. He'll start to touch people's lives because you're in position. So it's important for believers to be in position wherever they are, whatever region that they're living in. It's important for them to be impacting that region. So I would definitely tell people to what I can't tell people, would tell the church to wake up. It's time to move. It's time to start living our lives fully to Him. You know what I'm saying? We have to really give our lives over to Him and
It,
get our wills out the way and put God's will in the way. So that's all I could tell the church to wake up. The church needs to wake up.
exactly, my friend, and I think I think you could even take that a step further because I think by the actions of what I was speaking before are basically just like I say, going to church once a year, once a week, not talking about any outside life. Not only do I think it's what you just spoken upon, I mean, to take it one step further, I think that does a lot more damage. Because if people just hear people once every blue moon telling them, go and read the Bible, do this, that, and the other, and then the rest of their lives, it's like, well, hey, dude, you're no different from me. Then it has a negative effect because people go, oh, it hasn't profoundly changed you. Whereas what you're doing, hey, we haven't spoken once in this whole conversation. Have you read put any verses down on me? But people can, listen to you and know by your experience, by your everyday life, you're shining example far more than someone who's just going to stand up, go to church once a week, and then tell someone they shouldn't be doing this and being righteous. I mean, this is the message I think needs to go out strongly to people. If they really do fundamentally believe in what you're saying, they can't just be passive anymore. And I think it's doing a lot more. Sort of say it's not only just okay, well, hey, you're just passive, and that's one thing. It's not. It's more. It's not a polite conversation anymore. We're in times where we need everybody to stand up and actually live the life they do, and not just be part timers, for want of a better word. Because it's too important in these times right now not to sort of just go to sleep on this. You need to stand up and be counted. Surely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you can't be sluggish. You can't be sluggish in Christ. God moved. Like, God was always on the move, so it's important for his people to be on the move also. So
well, bring this. Yeah, we'll bring this all back to music. Obviously, you put out "Be Real," which is I wanted to talk to you about anyway, because again, it's a perfect example of this whole conversation, man. I love the way the whole track builds up. You've got some, I don't know, it's one of your friends or a minister, or somebody talking at the end about, what it means to them as a person. But, you did the song. Mate, what was what were the insights and the inspiration behind that track, Be Real?
What's Real was basically inspired by, I spent a lot of time in, I actually moved to St. Louis for quite some time. And me being in St. Louis, I was actually living in this hotel in St. Louis, and I had it at this hotel was basically CNN in the news, and I was seeing a lot of stuff that was going on in the media. A lot of murders has been taking place, and especially here in the United States, a lot of things going on with the cops and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and all this stuff has been just taking place. So the inspiration behind What's Real basically came about me asking, uh, what's real in your life? Like, what are you doing that's helping? Are you helping, or are you hurting? Like, where's the integrity? And that's basically what I was asking. It's really a rhetorical question, because I actually, in my music, actually in the song, I actually answered it. I started to ask questions, and I started to answer and started to get my input on the site of actually my perspective on what I see that's real and what's not real. So, I talked about different things. I talked about not only just the stuff I seen in the news, but also what my friends were going through. You know what I'm saying? As a Christian, you know what I'm saying, it's so easy for faith believers to judge people. You know what I'm saying? So I actually took it from a place of people who judge people, and I actually touch bases on speaking on what's the integrity in that. You know what I'm saying? You judging somebody because they're still going through something. So I talked about a lot of different things of what's real, different areas of things I've been seeing, been gathering over the time. So what's real is definitely inspired things that I've been seeing around me.
So obviously, you put out this track, and that's like we will finish this this whole podcast with that track as well. But where are you in the process of creating now? I mean, are you in the process of a new album? Have you got any plans to sort of release a new album? Are you in the process of building it? Whereabouts on that whole line of creativity are you at the moment?
Right now I'm definitely working on a project. I have yet to release the title of it. Right now I'm in the process of just releasing singles. So I actually don't even have a release date yet for this project, but hopefully, if things go according to how I see it, hopefully something to drop this year. But everything has a lineup. Everything has its own timing. So
Mhm.
that's definitely what's going on with William Pippins right now.
Oh, my friend, I mean that's a perfect as we kind of been saying through this conversation. There is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes, my friend. That's exactly it. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything has its own time and process. So, other than you're in that process at the moment, and you talked about what you're doing in your life at the moment. Is there any sort of thing right now that's kind of you got your claws into, and you're getting inspired by, and anything people could look out for?
Um, I'm definitely inspired. I'm definitely inspired by. I gotta say, God, what God's doing in my life, especially with my ministry. I've been on the go, just meeting different people. I definitely get inspired by the conversations I have with people. So, as I continue to grow, new things that pop up, new inspiration. I'm always getting inspired by something. Something's always popping up. God's always giving me something. So I tell my people that listen to my music to stay in tune to what's to come. Things have been moving very, very rapidly. I have been very, very busy, just staying productive, and it's a lot of music that will be released this year. So just be on the lookout. Stay tuned.
Well, on that one, then, well, I have to sort of put the call out for many people over this part of the world in Europe over here. I mean, is there any plans to come over and play anywhere in Europe? I mean, let alone, I mean, I'll be, like I say, let alone Scotland. I know we're at the back end of nowhere, but I mean, just Europe would be great. Any thoughts or plans?
Yeah, most definitely. I most definitely plan to expand soon. I'm not sure, but that would be very, very interesting. I would love to play in Scotland and overseas. We haven't got to that point yet. We really just focus on the States right now. But as I continue to grow and my team start to build, we will most definitely start to travel overseas. I would love it. That would be
Well,
nice.
well, my friend, I'm very much. I think this is where me and you are very much synergy on the mindset. I'm very much on a positive mindset about things going on, and I personally think right now we're on the. I said it many times, but I think we're living through a renaissance, and I think we're living through some of the greatest times and days ever. And it's just not to sort of go. Maybe a lot of this conversation has been quite sort of you know dark in that sense, but let's finish on a positive note. I mean, let's think, dude. I mean, like I said, I told you about where my history's from. Man, if my father had just half the power of the internet and the reach that it would have done amazing things. Think back what it would have been if you'd gone back 100 years ago to the people who were standing up then. We've got so much reach and so much power and so much ability to connect. That's why I keep saying it's important it's what we do with it, because whether this window of opportunity is going to be there for a long time, but right now we have to. This is the point. As I said before, you're right now are inspiring people that you're never going to meet. To be some kid in Iceland or Sweden, we listen to your track, you won't know about him. It'd just be a play on your SoundCloud or a download somewhere, and that person you're inspiring, and that's the greatest thing that we've got in these days we have now. Your reach is phenomenal, and it's like you said before, it's what you do with it, and that's why I think it's important that if we have these tools that, to me, when I was your age, dude, these were a dream. That's why I get frustrated. That's why I always put the call out to people, say, look, we've got to make use of these tools, because they're not always going to be here. They could easily be taken away from us. And I think that's why I'm really inspired, and I say I flag the flag for what you do over and over again, because I think you're a shining inspiration for what can be done with the world we are right now. So I think it's always good to sort of see the positive things as much as we've talked about the dark things.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
No, like I say, Will. I mean, hopefully, it won't be too far in the distant future. You'll get to come over here in Scotland, and I can get to show you around some of the beautiful, our highlands and islands around here, and we get to hear, the great British public. Great to hear some of your great words. So, man, like I said, I wanted to finish on what's real, my friend, and I think it's really great that you kind of summed that up. So while I'm queuing this up, my friend, and this maybe sort of I don't know, just give your, your parting thoughts, really. Anything you really want to sort of leave with anyone that may be listening, and while I'm queuing this up. And before I do, sort of do this, again, thank you very much for your time tonight, Will. It's been as always, it's as always an insightful conversation, and like I said, the door's always open. And anytime you want anything doing, you just let me know. We're doing as much as we can our end to fly the flag for you. But like I say, while I'm queuing this up, just give us some quick thoughts, maybe what you did, as a parting message for anyone that's listening.
I just want to tell them thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the movement. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for continuing to rock with me. It's been very, very slow. I know I haven't been releasing much music, but I just tell every listener, everybody that's watching this, just to continue to keep your eyes open for what's to come. Be ready for things that's gonna be dropping this month. Just stay in tune, and I just thank you for listening. Hope that you download. Hope that you continue to press the play button. Continue to tell people word to mouth. If you're a dedicated listener, I just thank you.
Respect, knowledge, search for knowledge. It's an eternal journey. That's like my hand cut the line. 360 degrees behind knowledge, always. And she taught me to not be quiet. If there's something on my mind, speak it.
So what's the difference between the highs and the lows? And understand the potential when these sights I suppose. It's natural to fear what's not known. We like a dog with a bone. It's far-fetched, but yet we willing to go. Look in the future, we got dreams of big houses and living cordial. To make up time when we used to camp on our mama's sofa. I'm God's gift, came in the name of peace. I'm a gift and the curses, two sides like the beauty and peace. Narcotics and weed, run through our streets like doggies and heat. And X pills to put your conscience to sleep. So hard prayers for my brothers who be roaming these streets. The jobs won't call them back, so how can I knock them for selling weed? Can he breathe? Kids got kids these days, homie, and I don't even know how many live these days, homie. I promise I speak the truth, but y'all don't really hear me. I open the book of God, I swear I'm Lord fearing. So maybe my perspective is fixed and you claim neglected. The truth that I swallow down could drown a Pacific fish. I'm deep water, promise I'm deep water. Though they sleeping on me, I promise I creep on them. I spread love like God, look like them nails that went through his hand. His blood dripping over my sins. Cross it look like telephone posts in the hood. And freedom ain't free, so how we stuck in the mud? Pay for essentials, things they come and go. Yeah, we chase vanity anywhere that it blows. Love is just a word that don't exist in our minds. A domino effect is our only father was time. Time equal love, and love is really God. So how can we act like the heavens not working above? So tell me, dog, what do you see through your eyes? Look through the mirror, your reflection is God.
I believe God blesses us. I believe God blesses those that hustle, those that use their mind, and those that overall are righteous. I believe that your karma is everything that you do bad comes back to you. So anything that I'm doing that's bad, I'm going to have to suffer for. But in my heart, I think what I'm doing is right. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm going to heaven.